Monday. I was just about to talk to you, Ed. Go on, baby, I'm listening. Not right now. It's only fair if you're ready, so I'd like to discuss something with you on Saturday, Lois said. No problem, it's Saturday, but I can't get ready unless you give me a clue. Sure, but don't react right away. I'm giving you a week to digest this. Ready? Ready. I want to have sex with another man. Ed's jaw dropped. Lois put a finger to his lips as a sign that he didn't have to answer. He took a deep breath and remained silent, though it certainly wasn't easy. You can talk to me tomorrow, but the conversation won't lead to a decision. There will only be whatever clarification you might need to set the record straight, and I will do the same. Tuesday. I have to say that no way is my first reaction. Ed said. I realize that, but you can't make a decision until Saturday. Please let me explain a little. Well, if you want to, it would just be sex and only once. You've always been logical and fair, so I want to discuss this with you properly on Saturday. Until then, you have time to get your thoughts in order. I can tell you exactly why that would be okay. You tell me why it's not, and I'll bring in a judge who will judge which of us makes the better argument. Who's the judge? Ed asked. Doris. She works in the Human Resources Department of our company, Dostek, and she promises to be impartial. Ed pondered this for a moment. I agree, but I may have some questions before then, just for clarification, you understand. Fair enough, but I won't divulge any of my arguments right now. Wednesday. So, what does logic have to do with it, Lois? Remember when we lived in Basingstoke and I got that job in Southampton? Sure. Well, I suggested we move to Winchester, about halfway between the two, but you said it didn't make sense. We'd both have to travel and we'd have the expense of 2 cars. Yes, that's what I said. So, you gave me the choice of whether we should live in one place or another. I chose a place here in Southampton, and I take the bus to work. I see, logical. I'm the only one driving now, but when I get home later than you cook dinner and we can relax, and we save thousands by driving only 1 car. Exactly. But what does that have to do with you wanting a get-out-of-jail-free card? It's the way you think things through. You've presented a well-thought-out argument, and now you're happy to put up with longer stays away from home to make our lives easier. Our current lifestyle shows that you were right. Thank you. So I'm trying to think like you. I want you to explain to me logically why I shouldn't allow myself this affair, and just as importantly, give me the opportunity to argue my point of view, without emotion like you do. Thursday. I have an important question, Ed said. Ask it. Do you already have someone in mind for this extramarital venture? Absolutely not, Lois replied. You swear? No one you've had your eye on for a long time? Are you really going to start from scratch? I swear I don't mean anyone. Oh, come on. No guys at work to chat with you? There has to be someone you like. Sure, there are men at work who make it clear they'd like to get in my underpants, and I can't deny that some of them are attractive, but the answer is still no. I don't have anyone on my radar. That seems unlikely. Then here's the thing, Ed. I do want to have sex with another man, but I guarantee, whoever I choose, it won't be someone I work with. In fact, it won't even be someone I already know. Deal. Friday. Is this your plan to intentionally hurt me? Asked Ed. No. I love you. I don't want another man in my life. I just want to try sex with someone else. It doesn't matter if his buddy is bigger or smaller, or if he's taller or hairier than you. I'm just curious to try something new. Logically, it shouldn't hurt you. Do you want one man, one time? Yes. Say it out loud, that you don't want to hurt me. I don't want to hurt you, Ed, I promise. Saturday. Since this is Lois's idea, I think she should state her case first, Doris said. I'll give you my unbiased opinion when you're both done. In the meantime, I won't participate unless one of you asks me to. Agreed. Lois took a deep breath and began. First, Ed, I want you to realize that there's a big difference between love and sex. This discussion won't be productive if you think they're the same thing. Prove it, Ed said. There are different kinds of love, The way you feel about strawberries and cream, about me, about your mom, about escaping Shawshank, it's not the same thing. Ah, but I'm saying I love them all. Yes. It should follow from that there are different kinds of sex. Sex with love, the way we do it, is the most important of them all. But in a one-night stand novel, there's also simple lust, hero worship, sex when you're lonely or out for revenge. Have sex when you dare, or when you're forced to, or even for money. And you'd like to add sex out of sheer curiosity. Yes, and they're all completely separate from love. Okay. Paul Newman was once interviewed about his ability to have affairs, Lois continued. He said something like, "If you have a steak at home, why go out for a burger?" I know he was trying to compliment Joanne Woodward, but his analogy is wrong. You, as the most logical thinker, tell me why. Because eating steak every day can get tiresome. Sometimes you still dream of a burger. So, is that what you're saying? Are you bored with me? Ed asked. Of course not, but we have to recognize that our personal lives can get a little boring in 10, 20 years. I don't want to wait that long. You and I are going to make a delicious steak, but I want to look back and say I only tried a burger once. Okay. Love and sex are different things, I understand that. Next point. I was a virgin when we met. Now we're in our 30s and we've potentially been sexually active for half our lives. You had at least 3 or 4 girlfriends before you met me, but it's always been just you and me. And you want to even the score? Ed asked. I admit there's some truth to that, yes, but just one man, that's a long way from settling the score. I think my wish is perfectly just. I don't want to go to my grave having sex with just one man, and doing it with your consent means it won't be cheating. I see. Anything else? I just don't think jealousy is logical. You've seen me use my imitator. Yes, I've seen it. Well, there you are then. You're not jealous of it. Doris coughed and smiled for the first time. You even got me with it. It's just something that gives me pleasure. Though obviously not as much as it gives you, it would be the same with another man, just mechanical sex. If you can make a logical decision, it shouldn't make you uncomfortable. One man, one time, and no love. No resentment, no mutual recriminations. We just go back to the way it was before, as if it never happened. If you love me, you'll let me have it. And that's the end of my argument. There was a pause. For what it's worth, I think Lois was reasonable and presented a valid argument, Doris said. I look forward to hearing your counter-argument, Ed. Let me confirm that I won't be taking sides just yet. So Ed began. First, I'd like to start where we left off with Lois, where you said, if you love me, you'll let me do this. That's outrageous, and it's emotional blackmail. What makes you say that? I'll demonstrate. If you love me, you will immediately reject the idea. How does that make you feel? Is there a coherent argument? She thought about it. Or how about, he continued, that you sit there and say, if you love me, Ed, you'll let me run the train. I just want violent sex with 20 bikers just once. Should I logically agree to that? Okay, I see what you mean. I'll remove that argument. Then let's go back to the storyline where I have to agree with you about love and sex. I'm not arguing. They are different. And I'll admit that, from a non-emotional standpoint, I wouldn't be uncomfortable or hurt if you had sex with another man, unless I find flaws in your reasoning. Good. She leaned back in her chair, looking pleased. So I'd like to begin my defense, so to speak, by saying that I'm not uncomfortable in other areas. Okay. Did I make you uncomfortable when I had sex with my previous girlfriends? Yes or no? This is ridiculous. I didn't even know you then. Ed looked at Doris. Yes or no, Lois? He repeated the question. Very well, no, you didn't. Using the terms better or worse, which is worse? Did you have sex with someone I never knew about before we met? Or are you having sex with someone else? And I know it's happening. After you took a vow of fidelity. Lois sighed. Obviously, it would get worse later, but that's a ridiculous argument. We're not religious. Wedding vows are just words you say to get married. Your previous girlfriends were just an example showing why I want to do this. I understand that and agree with you. Love and sex are different things. And since you and I weren't together then, my previous girlfriends are irrelevant, as is everything we did before we met. But you're the one who made that example, and I'm just responding. Fair enough, Lois agreed. Then tell me, do you regret being a virgin when we first met? Of course not. So you were happy that I took your virginity and you had no jealousy about my previous relationships? None at all. And when you married me, you weren't worried about all the men you hadn't had sex with? I suppose not. Then I guess we should ignore my exes completely. Lois nodded reluctantly. Strike that from the record, Doris. And if you agree that sex with another partner after marriage is far more harmful than sex before it, it follows that what you want to do is more than just even the score. I disagree. Okay, then let's deal with the sex toy. Rate sex with me on a scale of 1 to 10 and sex with a simulator. You got a 10 and that's only a 3. Is it logical to assume that sex with another man would be rated higher than a 3 for the imitator? Perhaps 8 to 10? Probably. I've never really thought about it. But I did. I had a whole week to do it. Okay? Then imagine you're having sex with some guy right now. Are you going to grab him like a dildo while he's just reading the paper or watching TV or something? Of course not. Or is he just lying on his back thinking about soccer while you bounce on him without paying attention? No, that's ridiculous. That's just silly. I want involvement, excitement, and passion from him. Lois sighed and shook her head. Of course you get it. So as in the previous argument with your girlfriends, the analogy of a male partner versus an imitator is false. You want to wrap your thighs around a real sweaty man and respond with thrust after thrust. Lois didn't answer. An imitator rarely gets you a finish, but you want at least one with a mystery man. Ignore the imitator example. Okay. So, let's look at that aspect about just one time. Are you absolutely sure that once will be enough? I'm sure. So, if I agree to that, what am I supposed to do a year from now if you want another just once experience? Look, this time you'll keep your word, but tell me later that you want to try it. Just once, with a black man or a midget. No, you're not listening. I said just once. That's the agreement. But how can you say that? You agreed to our marriage vows by stipulating a renunciation of all others. But now you want to change it to renounce all others except this one time. So you're going to do the same thing again. She sighed. I promise it will only be this one time. Well, I think almost all of your arguments are falling apart. Let's get down to the real issue. Give me an example of a time when I felt offended or uncomfortable. I'm not going to ask if you would be hurt if I had sex with another woman. I'll admit that I would be. But can I ask for honest answers to a few simple questions? Yes. Doris, will you interrupt me if you think she's not being completely honest? Or if any of my questions are unfair? Of course. Would it hurt you if you found out I was with another woman and had oral sex as foreplay? Yes. Does it hurt just from hard caresses? From tongue kisses, hands under her clothes, taking those clothes off? Yes. How about making out on the dance floor? I squeeze her breasts and run my hand down the back of her dress to feel her ass. Would those things make you feel uncomfortable? Yes, Lois said. No sex then. You wouldn't be offended if I ordered a romantic dinner for 2? I wouldn't like that. How about I set her up on a simple date at the bar? Meet her for a drink and a chat. No foreplay, just a chance to get to know each other better. To see if she could be the one when I want to have sex with a stranger. I tell her how beautiful she is and touch her hair. You know, whispered compliments. Surely that would be okay? Okay, I wouldn't really like that either. Let's try something less tactile. How would you feel if you found out I was looking for a sexual partner online? I'd be pissed. What if I make an arrangement over the phone, or I ask a friend to set me up with another woman? I'd be pissed. Stop questioning, Lois. I already have the full picture, said Doris. Lois let out a long sigh of relief. How long does our regular lovemaking last? It usually takes about 30 minutes. So, would sex with this mystery man be longer or shorter? That's about what I had in mind. But you wouldn't want quickie sex. No, of course not. Edit. Well, if it's going to be a one-time event, your moment in the sun, I think you should really enjoy it. Lois looked hopeful now. It's just one time, but to get it out of my head, I don't think 30 minutes will be enough. I only want one session with someone else. It's not a competition. So 45 minutes is good enough for you? I don't mean finishers, I mean satisfying your curiosity. 45 minutes would be perfect. Finally, the just once aspect again. Do you think I'd be okay with you wanting to go with two big black guys? No. So it's just one time when it comes to quantity, not quality. It has little to do with logic. Lois didn't answer. Ed continued. Lois, I want you to know that your examples are meager, but your basic reasoning is sound. What do you think, Doris? That's roughly how I envision it. Lois brightened. It sounded as if he might have already come to terms with the idea. Can you categorically affirm that you'll still love me after your little fling? Of course. Well, I'd like to revisit this discussion later. Okay, Ed continued. You said you didn't want to hurt me, even make me feel uncomfortable, right? Yes. And I agreed that sex with another man shouldn't hurt me, if I agree to it. Ed looked at Doris. Then I don't think Doris should be burdened with this important decision. I'll do it. That's not what we agreed on. I know it's not, but it's really not fair that Doris has to make the judgment. No matter how things turn out, she'll end up regretting her decision a bit. Maybe there will even be guilt. You can't carry out your plan unless I still agree, regardless of Doris's point of view. Okay, what's your solution? My solution is to honor your request. You'll be able to have sex with another man, provided I'm allowed to set reasonable terms. Doris must impartially judge whether those conditions are fair or not. Wow! They will be presented logically, as one would expect, and Doris should speak up if she disagrees with anything. Fair enough, Doris replied. But if she says they are reasonable, you must abide by them. If you have sex with another man and violate any of the terms, it's a divorce. Lois nodded and leaned forward, leaning on her elbows. Grudgingly, I'll agree with you. I'll let you do it. You can do it for 45 minutes. Pick anyone you don't already know and do it any way you like. At your workplace, in the back of a car, in a dirty alley, even in your marital bed. Lois brightened. Thank you, Ed. Since I agree with you, sex wouldn't hurt me either. But the other things you said would hurt you. Would hurt me too. So, logically, the following is unacceptable. No groping, squeezing, or any other kind of foreplay. No kissing, no dancing, no dinner and drinks. And you're not allowed to use the phones, the internet, or the help of friends to find your mystery stud. But, no buts, that's what we agreed on. Doris? He's right, Lois. You can only have straight sex, that's what sex is. Take off your clothes, spread your legs, and he will penetrate you in any position you desire. During the act, you can indulge in your passion, deep kissing, squeezing his buttocks, telling him how big he is, for 45 minutes. I'm concerned that you might cheat on the time, so I'll have to be present to make sure he doesn't cheat you out of 44 minutes, or exceeds the time to 46 minutes. That's not fair. Doris? I'm sorry, Lois, but it's fair and logical, just like you asked. Lois slumped and Doris stood up. If that's all, I'll be off. Good luck to you both. Ed walked her to the door where she whispered, What a relief. Well done. He returned and sat down next to his dejected wife. You've won, Ed. Are you satisfied? Not really. I have a little more to say, particularly about your statement. I don't want to go to my grave having sex with only one man. That bothers me. Oh? You can agree right now not to indulge that fantasy, but I don't think it will ever go away. If you go on and get another man, I'll divorce you. I won't do that. Then your fantasy will go unfulfilled and it will eat you up from the inside out. So from now on, I will always be suspicious. For the rest of our life together, Lois, which probably won't last long, I won't trust you from now until the day